And we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you guys for joining us today. My name is Brittany Huey, and I'm the program manager for Alabama Lifespan Respite. And I'm partnering with the VA Caregiver Support Program. So Teresa, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. We're very excited for the joint venture this morning. And my name's Teresa Voller. I'm a Caregiver Support Program Manager at the VA and excited to be here with you this morning.
All right, can everybody see my screen? I'm hoping that I have it down enough that you guys can see my PowerPoint. Can y'all see my PowerPoint?
I can see it.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and go on in then. So today what we're going to talk about is, who a caregiver is. We're going to talk about respite, why it's important. We're going to take a little fun break and we're going to play bingo. So you guys make sure you have your bingo cards in hand. We won't use all of them, but we will play bingo. There are prizes to be won. So you guys make sure you have those ready to go. And then we're going to talk about Alabama Lifespan Respite, and then I'm going to let Teresa talk about the VA Caregiver Program and the services that they offer. So if you guys will put your microphones on mute if you're not speaking, and then please, I would love this to be interactive. So if you guys want to stop me or comment or ask a question during the presentation, please do so. I don't mind doing that at all. Just make sure you remember to unmute yourself so we can hear you. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is who is a caregiver. I know most of the folks that are on today are a caregiver, they've been a caregiver, or they're serving caregivers. So at Alabama Respite, the way we define a caregiver is anybody providing unpaid care at home to a spouse, child, relative, or friend of any age, so we serve all ages, who have a disability or chronic illness, or they might need help with some of those basic activities of daily living. So, feeding, bathing, dressing, things like that. I also like to refer to these caregivers as superheroes. It is a thankless, endless job most of the time. So I want to say we really, really appreciate you guys and what you're doing. There's no way that there will ever be enough respite in the world to give you guys what you deserve. But we do want to make sure that you guys are aware of the resources that are available to you. So if we can help you prevent the caregiver burnout and things like that, that's what we really want to do. So we'll move forward, just calling you guys superheroes. Now, we have a really hard time, which is funny, a little comical to me, right? With the word respite. A lot of people say respite, or, all different kinds of ways that you can pronounce this. It's respite, and that might be the Southern way to say that. I don't know. So if I have anybody that is from the North, please feel free to tell me your version. All respite is a temporary break for a family caregiver. Okay, so those people that are providing around the clock care, you guys need to have those breaks. The more breaks you have, the better off you are going to be mentally, physically, the better off your care recipient will be. So again, respite is just that temporary break for you, and can really happen any way that you define a break, right? So I might define a break by, leaving my house and, going grocery shopping. Somebody else might define respite as going on vacation for a couple of days. And then you've got other people who just want to take a nap in the back room of their house while somebody else is there. So it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I'm not here to tell you how to take that break. I'm here to tell you need to take a break. And I know sometimes that seems very, very impossible. But again, respite can happen in the home. It can happen at a facility. So if you are taking care of mom, maybe with Alzheimer's, there's adult day centers. Churches offer these programs. I find that the churches typically serve those kiddos with disabilities versus adults. Teresa, is that kind of what you see too?
That the churches serve the kids more than the
Yeah,
adults.
yeah.
Since we only serve adults, I wouldn't know the children. I do know some churches do the adult, but it does seem more limited in its specific senior centers and things like that that might be able to help you out more than typically churches. But I don't have a good knowledge of child services. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Oh, sure.
I think because we serve kids, I think maybe that, like, we serve kids and adults, of course, but I think that we see more often that, you know, they might have a respite night for kiddos, and so parents can go out on a date night. I don't, and I haven't. I wish I knew about some of the churches that did the weekend respite days and things like that for adults, but maybe I'll do some research, or maybe somebody can pop in my chat up here and tell me if you know of one. So this is really when I would like you guys to kind of take your microphones off of mute. And of course, I know it gets kind of awkward because you don't know who's going to talk or when. But I really want to kind of talk about these things, these next few questions with you. And I want you guys to tell me your opinion on, you know, why you think respite is so important.
Okay. I'll just say, like you said before, like just to prevent burnout, you know, because as a caregiver, we do this 24/7 mostly, you know, so it's difficult on us, and in order for us to keep going, we need a break.
Perfect.
Well, I also think that with this pandemic, it's keeping the kids inside even more. And I think it's even tougher because we've been, you know, quarantined for 185 days or whatever.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
you know, we just don't go out a lot because, you know, we have a 4-year-old with special needs and we have a 6-year-old, and, you know, and my husband just got over cancer. So there's no way we're going to take the chance of going out and having to deal with that.
Yeah, I think that brings a lot to light. This pandemic has probably made us appreciate, you know, school and all of those things a lot more. But I completely understand not wanting to risk your family members with possibly getting COVID-19, and I think it is very difficult on, you know, a lot of people in general, having to stay in and having to be careful, extra careful, right? Because you're already careful.
Well, and you're not only dealing with the person that you're taking care of, but I'm also a teacher now, which I have the highest respect for them because I'm not a teacher.
Right.
And it's like you've just added something else onto that list.
Yeah, and I think I would never want to be a teacher right now. You're definitely right about that. So, what about anybody else? Why do you think respite is so important?
I know for me, I kind of feel like a spring that's wound too tight, and I need to unwind, and I find myself getting irritable and kind of short, and I don't want to do that. My mom's important to me, so that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Well, it allows the brain to reset
Absolutely.
and refresh, and you'll be prepared for critical thinking and different strategies that you need to sometimes approach the situations with.
Absolutely.
Yes, Matisa here. I agree with what Lenora just said. Sometimes respite gives a break to your usual cycle of the day. Even for me, just not having someone to keep my daughter. I miss being able to get home with her. I used to go and just walk around Target. So we would do that and go to the movies together. And that would still seem like respite for me because it kind of broke our usual cycle that becomes mundane over a period of time. And, you know, just doing something different kind of helps to reset.
Well,
Yes.
I was going to say the challenge has been for me because my daughter is, well, she's an adult, she's 24, and at adult daycares, if there's any available, I cannot drop her off. She has to have an aide. She has to be cared for 24/7, or she will take off and run away. So that has been a challenge for me because there's no even hiring a person to come in and care for her. It's been a challenge because you know she's 24, so she doesn't fall into, you know, even though technically, you know, caring for her is like caring for a child, you know, she falls into the adult category. So
Yeah, and I think that's something to be said too, is it seems like that is like a gap population that, you know, the ages where you would need the most services. So, you know, after 19 years old, before you hit that 55 or senior category, you know, there is very few and far between resources that we know about. To help you guys out, and you guys are probably the ones who need the most help.
I'm serious. I'm finna listen to this, and y'all gonna be quiet. Now, Tati, go get your work.
All right. Does anybody else want to share why you think respite is so important?
Yeah, I think I will definitely echo what everyone has mentioned so far, and I think for me personally, in addition to all of the things that you folks have said, you know, I'm sorry?
If you'll put your microphone on mute if you're not talking, so we can hear others, and then unmute when you are, please. Go ahead.
I think that it is having a child with special needs can also put a tremendous amount of strain if you're in a relationship with you and your significant other, your spouse, and having an opportunity for respite gives an opportunity for us to put some time back into our marriage and focus on making sure that our marriage stays healthy during what would otherwise be a pretty challenging time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, Brittany, I also like to say that respite is great also for the recipient.
Yes, it is. We get tired of providing the care, but I guarantee those care recipients are tired of seeing us every day too. They need a break from us just as much as we need a break from them.
This is Joanne Andrew. I just wanted to tag on to what they're saying also. We as caregivers really need our cups filled and renewed and replenished so that we don't get burnout. I know our son works 4 10-hour days each week, and he comes over on Friday and takes his dad to lunch and gives me that time to get away. He spends a few hours with him, and he looks forward to that all week. He looks forward to having the time with his son, and they take him out in a little sports car that they've have running. It's sat in the garage for years. They worked on that, have it all running. So he's just thrilled to death to get out in this little Mercedes SL and ride around with Neil and enjoy the time together. And it fills me up because I get an opportunity to soak in the time or do what I want to, just take a break or go out and shop or meet a friend for lunch, which I often do. And that replenishes me as well.
Yeah, and it's probably very helpful to see how happy he is and how refreshed he gets from spending that time with his son.
Yes, and our son also gets a blessing from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, so it's a good thing.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Yes, it's a win-win.
All right, anybody else want to share? All right, so we'll move on to the next question here. What are some of the dangers included when caregivers don't get the opportunity to take a break? I know we've mentioned a few, in discussing why respite is so important, but does anybody have any that they want to point out that maybe you guys have experienced yourself before when you haven't been able to take a break?
I would just say getting sick and exhausted and not being able to be the best caregiver you can be when you're run down.
Absolutely.
It can also bring on health issues.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it can. And I don't think we realize that a lot either, Lenora. So.
And I would just like to say, this is Ricky Thornton. I would just like to say too, how sometimes it brings on resentment too of other people who you feel like should be involved and are not involved if they don't give you a break.
Which happens often, I think, too. You've got these big, great families, and then when mom or dad needs somebody to care for them, it seems like there's only one out of the 5 kiddos that participate in that care. So that can be frustrating and create that resentment.
I would add forgetfulness. Sometimes you may forget whether you've given meds at the correct time or something. Or it kind of gets off and you forget, like, so that could add to tiredness and forgetfulness.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does get kind of scary too, especially if you have to, administer medications and things like that, if you can't remember that you gave that medication or not. So, sleep is vital. And I think that we wish that we got a lot more of that as caregivers.
Definitely.
Does anybody else want to share some of the dangers, maybe something that you've experienced when you haven't been able to have a break?
I'd like to say for me, I'm kind of seeking, when times are good, to establish some respite, because let's say one of us does get sick, we're going to need some help, and I'd like to know what resources are out there. If I don't pursue the respite, then the danger is I won't have someone if I were to get sick or something.
So somebody like established, you mean?
Right.
Okay. Does anybody else want to share?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good morning. I am Janice Bishop, and I was a little late coming into the session. I had some problems printing off my bingo card.
That's all right.
I'm here, and I just decided to just stay where I am instead of going back home. So, the question is, what was the question again?
What are some of the dangers included when caregivers don't take a break?
You can, I like my son, I do have to administer medicine, so you can make errors. Like if you don't take a break or rest, you can make tremendous errors, I guess. And an example would be, perhaps, I guess I'm just kind of piggybacking off of the person that was mentioning the medications, and you don't want to give the you don't want to overdose the patient, the person that you're caring for.
Right.
And then again, you don't want to give them too less of the dosage, because that also can cause an issue. So my son has been on medication since birth, and I know that whenever he has like growth spurts, if he doesn't get the proper dosage, that it can lead into other problems for him. such as seizures and etc. So,
Right. Yeah.
is this? Let me ask you: is it what type of dangers can occur to him or for the caregiver?
Well, you know, I mean, I really think that it goes both ways. I
Mhm.
think when caregivers don't take the break that they need, it can kind of, you know, flow down into some of the care recipients' needs being affected.
I agree.
That's one thing I think I would say is one of the biggest risks to the caregiver is a compromise to your mental health. Mental health is so important in order to be a good caregiver. Even in the best scenario, when you have typically developing children or a fully healthy, functional family, your mental health is important. And having to be a full-time caregiver to a special needs child or adult can pose significant strains on your mental health as well. So it's hugely
Amen.
important from that standpoint.
I'm all the way with you on the mental health. All right, so let's go on to the next question then. I want you guys to tell me a time that you realized it was time for respite. So, you know, maybe you haven't had respite scheduled for a while. Maybe you haven't been, because of COVID-19, right? You're in quarantine. You're trying to social distance from people and not having anybody in the home. Has there been a time, especially, you know, during these, I think somebody said 185 days that this has been going on, that you realized, oh my gosh, I have to have this break? And what was going on? And, you know, from that, were you able to establish some type of break, even if it wasn't necessarily leaving the home?
I think for me, I noticed it was time for a break, and I really hadn't had a break like I need one, but I have had a nurse to come out here and sit for, 2 days a week, maybe for like 6 hours, and that helps, but it wasn't consistent. So for me, it was just having a lot of breakdowns, frustrated a lot. And when I noticed I was frustrated and my daughter was crying, and I was like, oh Lord, okay. So I really need to reach out to somebody because I needed a break. And just like some of the other ladies said, especially like during this pandemic, at least when they were in school, we had that little break while they were gone to school, and now
Absolutely.
like you're with them 24/7. I was having an issue with my daughter not wanting to take her meds, not eating. So now we just recently got a feeding tube. So it was a lot. It was already a lot going from having a child that was normal to having to being special needs, because her diagnosis is a late onset. So it kind of changed our world around, so you get used to taking care of one thing and now here go another issue. So for me, that was my breaking point where I knew I needed a break.
All right, thank you for sharing that. I think, life has those hiccups, and things like that where it does jar everything, and sometimes it does flip our world upside down, and then we have to figure out how to navigate that road, right? Just when we figured out the path before, there's something new happening. Does anybody else want to share?
Yes, I have to say, I guess for myself, I have come to the realization that I possibly need a break because my son has, that's him in the background, I apologize.
That's fine.
He has a lot of appointments, and during the COVID era that we're still in, the appointments have started to kind of like run together, and usually on top of all of his appointments, and so that, and I can relate as the last speaker, my son was diagnosed with HIE at birth, and then later on with upper and lower CP. And so he has because of deprivation of oxygen is delayed, and he's not walking. So it's a lot. That's a lot. My world actually changed also. Like once I gave birth to my son, and he is he's able to eat, and a feeding tube has come up in the past. But I have been noticing also, and it's kind of frustrating because you want him to get all the nutrients and everything that he needs, but I am at that point where it's just, I don't know.
It wears you out.
Huh? I'm
It
sorry.
wears you out.
It wears you out. It wears you out. It does. So I can admit.
All
I
right,
can
y'all.
admit to.
Does anybody else, just one more person, want to share before we move to the next slide?
I share. My name is Tamika Mitchell. I have a son. He's 7 years old. He's diagnosed with severe autism, and I have 2 more kids. So I have 3 kids. So it's a lot. And then, but like, I don't think my frustration sets until I have other family members calling me with what I call shenanigans. Like, my mother-in-law called and she wanted pictures of kids doing their Zoom call for school. I have 2 kids in school. I'm trying to sit down with my oldest child so he'll sit in front of the camera. I don't have time to be taking pictures of kids doing school. I really need them to just do the school.
Right.
So
we gotta learn right there to say, Mom, nope, not right now. I've got too many other things happening. We'll capture some pictures at a later date.
exactly, like when I'm having a good day and I remember to take some pictures, I'll be happy to take some pictures for you.
All right.
But I got a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old. At this time, I don't have time to take pictures for you. So, but I did invite her over.
Okay, so she can take the pictures.
Exactly, and she didn't take damn picture. But it's like, it's a lot, and it's like when people call me, I have a tendency to say, "Oh, I'm not doing nothing." And yeah, that's what I'm gonna tell you. But no, I got 3 kids, and I'm trying to sit my preschooler down at ABC Mouse, the other 2 at real school. I'm a little bit busy.
Right. Yeah.
So it is a lot, and it gets a bit much. And then when you're not getting all the help that you could get, and then people call you with extra stuff, I'd be like, okay, no, but you're welcome to come by and visit.
Right. Yeah. All right, guys. So this next slide is going to reiterate everything that everybody has just said. Okay, so why is respite so important? It reduces stress and fatigue, right? It improves family functioning and satisfaction with life, not only for you as the caregiver, but the care recipient. It improves our attitudes toward the care recipient and probably theirs toward us, right? It helps sustain family caregiver health and well-being. So somebody mentioned that not being able to take that break can kind of cause some of those physical health issues, and this absolutely states just that. So it helps avoid and delay out-of-home placements. Most of us who are doing this right now are doing this because we want, you know, our kiddos to stay in the home with us, or we want mom and dad to stay in the home and not go to a nursing home. So taking those regular breaks when you can helps avoid this, or at least delay it. You know, at some point, I think that sometimes, you know, we have to make the decision, hey, I can't do this, I'm not capable. My mental health is declining because I'm trying so hard to provide this care that I just can't. So I think sometimes those out-of-home placements are necessary, but respite will certainly delay that. It also reduces the likelihood of abuse and neglect. Hey guys, if you will please mute your speaker if you're not talking, so everybody else can hear. Thank you. So, you know, we see this every day on the news, the abuse and the neglect, right? And I don't think a lot of times we want to admit that it happens, but you know, if you are doing something 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it gets frustrating, it gets tiring. And, you know, we might not be neglecting our loved one on purpose, but we might forget to give them medication. We might forget to feed them because we're so tired. So that, you know, that respite is very, very important. And with that said, we are going to go ahead and take a little break from learning for a second. And we're going to play bingo. So everybody was emailed some bingo cards. I think there were probably 3 or 4 on your email. So if you'll just shuffle them around and just pick one, we're only going to probably have time to play a game or so. There might be time for a second game. But if you'll go ahead and get those cards out, we can get started. I'm going to stop the screen share of the presentation, and I'm going to let y'all see, you know, my face while I'm calling these bingos out. And then we'll resume with the screen share when we're done playing bingo. So now I can see all of you. All right, does everybody have their bingo cards ready?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and start. The first that we have is B4. B4. The next we have is 073. 073. You know, at one point in time, I thought that I would like to just be a bingo caller, like in a professional setting, but I'm not very good at it. I didn't realize that there was like such a technique to rolling that machine, you know? So I'm just going to keep my day job. I'm going to do what I'm doing. 069 is the next. O74. 074. Y'all, I'm trying. Have y'all used one of these things before? It's a little spinny thing. They're not that easy. All right, I-22 is the next. I-22. And then we have I-28. G59. How many of you guys play bingo on a regular basis? Do I have any professional bingo players?
Not me.
All right, B8. B8. All right, N36. N36. And obviously, since you guys are not professional bingo players, if you get a bingo, just traditional bingo, just holler it out and we'll go through them to make sure. 065. 065. N44. N44. G49. G49. 062. 062. N42. N42. Those people who get this recording, Teresa, are going to be like, what is this? What are they doing? I have to listen to bingo. They can fast forward, though. It'll be fine. All right. N31. N31. 061. 061. I-18. I-18. I-24. I-24. 068. 068. G48. How many people are close? Y'all have to say what you need out loud for good luck. Just kidding. B6. B6. 070. 070.
Bingo.
Who said that? Lenora?
Yes.
All right. Tell me what you got.
074.
Okay.
062. 068. 065 and 070.
All right. Those got you some luck today. That was all O's, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So, Lenora, when we get finished with this, if you will shoot me an email, we've got some gift cards that you can kind of choose between, okay? I do want to also let you guys know before I move on to the presentation that all of the unpaid caregivers that are on here today are going to receive a $100 stipend, and a stipend is a check. So that check is going to come straight to you. You'll have to fill out a form for me, but I'll send that when I send the post test. And then from that, we'll cut you a check. It'll probably go out sometime next week. Our accountant is on vacation. And we hope that you will use that to get some respite, some much needed respite. So we are going to go back to the presentation.
Thank you.
Give me just a second to get back in there. And I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger for us. All right, can everybody see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about some of our services that Alabama Lifespan Respite offers. We're going to go from I want to say, I don't want to say the least important because it's one of the most important at the top. But the one that I think people know us for most is at the end. Okay. So advocacy is something that we do, something that we ask our caregivers to do. We go down to Montgomery quite a bit, and we advocate for respite needs for caregivers, let them know why it's so important that you guys take this break. We try to spin it in, it will save you money if you guys help pay for respite versus putting these, you know, care recipients in nursing homes and things like that. So that usually resonates with those representatives a lot more. But, you know, our team, you know, we're located in Huntsville. We serve the entire state, but we only have like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5 on a good day employees that cover the state. So the representatives really, really like to hear from the caregivers that will be voting for them specifically. So if you guys ever have the opportunity, you know, to let them know some of your needs, why respite is important to you, and, you know, why you need that service, that would help us in the long run when we go down and say, hey, we need more money for funding so we can give these caregivers some respite. We do a lot of education, so similar to what we're doing right now. And if you guys, if your phone or your computer is not muted, please mute that. I hear some background noise and I'm not sure if everybody else can hear it or not. But please mute your phone. So education, we do, typically what we do in a corona-free world is do a lot of community workshops for caregivers. So we actually go on site in the community and provide these workshops. And then we do public awareness. So like health fairs and things like that, we'll tell people about the service, the things that we offer. Hey, we do exist. This is a real program. And we tell them about what those things are. And then the last thing is our reimbursement program. So if you are an unpaid family caregiver and you're not receiving respite services through Medicaid waiver, aid and attendant, Alabama Cares, you are eligible to apply for our program. And what our program does is give the caregivers an award amount. And allows the caregiver, the primary caregiver, to hire who they want. So it can be a family member, it can be a friend, as long as they're 18 years or older and living outside the home. To provide that care, you guys as the caregiver will negotiate the hourly rate. The most typical hourly rate that we see is usually $10 an hour, unless you've got a family member who is like, I'm doing it because I want to do it, right? So then they're like, pay me $7 an hour and I got it. That is fine with us. Essentially, Alabama Respite is the funding mechanism to allow you guys to have respite care, okay? So we don't ever send anybody into the home. We cannot suggest or recommend anybody, unfortunately. You guys have to do the picking and the hiring that you require for your loved one, and we reimburse you for that. So we send out a timesheet once you're approved that has a date range to use it, a dollar amount, and then you keep track of when somebody comes in or when you're paying, you know, a facility or something like that. You keep track of those dates, how much you paid an hour, and who provided the respite. And then after you've spent your award, you send that timesheet into us and we reimburse you from that, okay? This is not a monthly award. This, unfortunately, I wish that it was. It's not a quarterly award. Our awards depend upon how many families we're serving that fiscal year. And how much funding we have available to us. So we try our best to do 2 timesheets or 2 awards per fiscal year. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes there's 3. It just depends again on funding and how many people we're serving. Our program is intended to kind of cover those folks that are in that gap population who, you know, are on a waiting list for Medicaid or Alabama Cares or aid and attendance, whatever it is. We're trying to get you through short term so you can get on one of those longer term programs. Does anybody have any questions about the reimbursement program itself? Is there anybody on here who didn't know about the reimbursement program?
I have a question about the program.
Okay.
The funds that you pay the families to reimburse, is that considered income?
So we do not report to the IRS, and the rule in Alabama is you cannot pay somebody over $2,100 in a calendar year, so January to December. And if you pay one individual person over $2,100 in a calendar year, you yourself as the caregiver, as that individual, is supposed to self-report. We do not report. Typically, it's really a moot point to even have to say that, because it is never going to unfortunately happen that we are able to give somebody $2,100 in a calendar year. So we typically never run across that issue at all, but that is the rule. So we don't report to anybody. A lot of people call and say, well, I don't want my Social Security to be affected by this if they pay me to care for their loved one. We don't do any of that reporting to IRS, Social Security, anybody. Did that answer your question?
It helps.
Okay.
I'm still a little foggy on it, but.
Okay, well, so try to say that in a different way. Let me see if I can figure out what you're asking me.
Well, I'm wanting to know whether I have to report it as income on my income tax.
Only if you pay them over $2,100 in a calendar year. So if you, go ahead.
I mean, you're giving me the money, but I'm paying someone else.
So I'm giving you an award. You are paying somebody for the respite service, and when you have used your award amount, awards will range from $300 to $600 in a fiscal year. Okay, so it's not. We will never award $2,000, but if you pay. So we reimburse you, right, for the service is what we're doing. We're not actually handing you money and you paying this person. You've got to come out of pocket to pay for the respite. You send that form in to us and we reimburse that $400. If you happen to pay this person $2,100 in a calendar year, yes, you are supposed to report that in the state of Alabama on your income taxes.
Not to speak for Alabama Respite, this is Tracy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We use the term stipend, and so I work federal government, so this may be a little different, but stipend is a non-taxable income. So maybe your question is, are you needing to report just this income you're getting from Alabama Respite on your information? And typically, I know the reason we use the word stipend is because it's a non-taxable. So it's not something you report. I know Brittany was clarifying on how much you need to pay and then report that, but just as far as you reporting, I know when we use the word stipend, it means that it's non-taxable and not something you have to report as an income for tax purposes. So I don't know if that helps.
So even the $100 we received for today is considered non-taxable?
That's what a stipend means in the federal government. So that may be the same with Alabama Respite.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Okay, no problem.
Does anybody else have any questions about the program?
Yeah, I had a question. I was wondering, you said that if you're already receiving from, what's the other place? I can't think of it now. Oh boy.
Alabama Cares?
Yeah, if you're already receiving from them, then you can't receive from Alabama Lifespan. So,
correct.
But if your funds have run out for Alabama Cares, can you receive from Alabama Respite at that point?
So if you're out of funding with Alabama Cares and you are not going to be enrolled this year back into their program, then you can apply for Alabama Respite.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so I quickly want to tell you about one of the new initiatives that Alabama Respite has going on moving into this new fiscal year. We have a caregiver wellness initiative, and so I'm glad that somebody brought up mental health earlier. So just like we do reimbursement for respite services, we're going to have a service that will reimburse or pay upfront for a certain amount of sessions for mental health counseling if interested. We don't have all of the details worked out with that. It is brand new. But if you happen to be interested and you are on our program, shoot me an email and tell me that you're interested. We're going to add you to a list. And once we roll out those criteria for that, we will send that your way. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying what you were just referring to. What was the name of it?
So it's a caregiver wellness initiative, but if you just want to put in interested in therapy, we'll know what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So I've got contact information here for you guys. I will send this PowerPoint out with the post test that I send, so you'll have that, so there's no need to write that down. You've got my contact information in there as well. And I am going to let Teresa go ahead and tell you a little bit about her program.
Great, thanks so much. And so just want to open with really honored to be joined in this morning. I've really been impressed so far, just hearing from all of you all and everything you do. It's really thank you all for everything you do. It's very impressive. With that, I also wanted to see, is anyone on the call a veteran or caring for a veteran? And could you speak up or post it in the chat if you're okay with that?
I am a veteran, Lisa McDonald.
Okay, Lisa. Okay, great.
Good question about that. Do widows of veterans qualify?
No. So widows, so typically widows do not qualify for VA healthcare services. There has to be an aspect of the veteran in our healthcare for us to set up services. Now, with that being said, there is the Veterans Benefit Administration. That's actually separate from the Veterans Health systems. And I know it gets a little confusing, but I do want to say sometimes there are widows pensions available through VBA, the Veterans Benefit Association. And there's a veteran service office in every county that is a representative for the VBA. If you know of a widow that is interested in looking into that benefit, okay? But not through the Veterans Health Association, okay? Does that answer that question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So we had, I heard one veteran, and I think I heard two. Was that two people? One? Okay. Well, that's okay.
No, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Yes? Are you a caregiver?
Okay, my name is Joe. Yes, I am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your name is?
Joe Wattenberger.
Joe Wattenberger. Okay.
My husband is an Army vet.
Is an Army vet? Great. And for
Yes,
those veterans, are you all enrolled in the VA healthcare system?
Yes, we are, but the VA in Birmingham. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay, great.
This is Joanne Andrew.
Miss Andrew, you are enrolled too? Okay. Okay. And I'll you can
Tamika Mitchell.
What's that?
Tamika Mitchell.
Okay, you a veteran?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Are you enrolled in the VA?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. So great. I just was trying to kind of get a poll of who would be, could really
Okay.
get in.
I'm Monica Barfield. I'm in the military as well.
Okay. Are you a veteran or are you still active duty?
I'm still in 20
Okay.
years.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, and this will be some information for you, and there are some DoD services out of, I know in Huntsville area, I don't know where you're calling from, but this is going to be typically for if you're off active duty, so I want to make you aware of that. But if you have questions, anybody who's a veteran or caring for a veteran, this will primarily be for you, but open-end, I want to share a lot of things that are available on our website, and that's going to be for everybody on the call. If you want to just look at our website, it has some good resources. So for all those that just spoke up, if you're a veteran or you're caring or you are the caregiver for a veteran, we have just expanded a lot of services. So we have online support groups, and I've listed some of these up on the screen. A monthly psychoeducational call we do nationally, and they'll on different topics, maybe self-care, maybe there'll be a diagnosis specific. There's a lot of materials on the website that is up there that you, if you want to, and I've listed a few of those, helps you managing medicine. I know a lot of you, like you were talking about, you know, when you're tired, a lot of times it's very helpful to have some of those printed materials or have some of that organization set up. It might be another thing that can be help you from making any mistakes. So highly encourage those. There's also, I don't know how many of you care for someone with dementia, but there's a great series on there about dementia. And we've just added some financial management classes on there. So all of those really encourage you all to take advantage of that, even if you're not a veteran or a veteran caregiver. If you are, you can actually enroll in some of the online support in the monthly call, okay? And with that, Brittany, if there's any questions, are there any questions right there? Okay. All right, and so moving right along. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was some of our services. So right there I have listed is our caregiver support line, and you can get this out to a family member that doesn't even live here locally. And it's going to send a referral to the local VA that they're enrolled in, or we can help them get enrolled if they're not. That's a lot of reason why I was asking you all, if you weren't enrolled, you can give us a call. You can give that call. I've listed the hours, so the hours are a little more extended than our normal work day too. So hopefully it'll fit into your schedule where you can maybe call if you're needing some assistance, and it'll send that local referral, and then from there we'll do a full assessment and try to link you with whatever services through the VA we can. Okay, so want to make sure you all have that. And like I said, if you've got a loved one living in Ohio and you want to give them to that number, it'll send that local referral right there to the team that's in their area. Okay. The peer support mentoring, again, that's specific for veterans and anyone who's caring for a veteran. That's a great way to get connected and really have that support. We have a telephone one-on-one support that's called, its abbreviation is REACH, and I have it listed up there. Another great thing, it really helps with a lot of times new caregivers, or if you've been one for a long time, you're having a specific, we really tailor it to you and the specific problems you may have. We've partnered with a great program out of Memphis, and they'll mail you all kinds of workbooks that have just a whole lot of resources and information about almost any kind of problem or caregiver barrier that's typically associated with certain problems or certain diagnosis, and it'll really help you in learning and working through some of those difficulties. The last thing that's probably new with us is we have a text program where we actually send you text to kind of support you and maybe relieve some of those tensions, kind of give you some of that support. Sometimes we get so caught up in all your responsibilities, it's kind of a good reminder. So those are some of our support services. Do you have any questions with those? Okay. All right, and I'm ready for the next slide. And so these are not caregiver specific. These are resources within the VA. But if you called us, you called our team, you called that support line, these are things we could help link you with. So just want to make you all aware of some of the things that are available if you are, now this is more for if you are a veteran. So I know anyone who is a veteran caregiver can call us and we can enroll them and get them some of those supports. Now, we would not be able to set these services up for anyone who was not a caregiver, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, is not the veteran. These services are set up for the veteran, okay? So just want to make everybody aware of that. Also, just if you know of people in the area who you think may not be aware of this and are struggling right now with some caregiving, please share this information, okay? I know Brittany said she was going to send out those slides. Okay, any questions with any of those services? Okay. All right, and I've listed our contact. We have a general contact I've listed, and I actually left off one of my numbers on there. I apologize. It's I'll give that to Brittany before she sends out the PowerPoint. My full number is not on there, but we do have the main number. We have an email if you're needing more information about some of our services, wanting to enroll, definitely please give us a call, okay? And the other thing I was going to say is if you wanted to type your name in the chat, we had a few things from the VA. I don't know if you all are familiar with pop sockets that attach to your iPhones and some different maybe pins and things we were wanting to send out to some of the caregivers as an extra, just some extra things you might could use. Please either type your name in the chat or if you're uncomfortable with that, maybe you could let Brittany know and I could get your information from her to send you all some of that.
Hey,
Okay.
Teresa, the one of the forms that they have to fill out has name and address. So
Okay.
I will, when I send this email out, I'll remind them just to let me know if they're interested in the swag from the VA.
Okay. Okay, great. Yes, please do. Okay. Was there any questions with our VA caregiver program? Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know you said most of the services are for VAs, but or for veterans specifically. But do y'all do for the spouse of the vet, like the wife, like the in-home services, the more specifically?
Okay, so you're the spouse and the veteran and you're needing the support for you?
Okay, no, ma'am. So my auntie is she was married to a veteran.
Okay.
And she was married to a vet, and she has dementia. So I
Okay.
was wondering, and she need the in-home nurse. So I was wondering, is that something that the VA provides?
No, the VA would not set up an aide in there. If you're dependent on, is your uncle still there in the house
No, he's
providing?
deceased.
Oh, he's deceased. Okay. That would be that widow's pension she could possibly look into for the aide and attendants through the Veteran Service Office to see what it would be based on, when he served, their income, and her level of need. But they could talk to the local Veterans Service Office, that's the Veterans Benefit Administration, to see if there might be some money there. But the VA healthcare would not be able to set up any aides. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, does anybody else have any questions in general about what we talked about today or either one of the programs?
No, ma'am. Could you put that last slide back up right quick?
Sure will.
I'd like to say, hello?
Go ahead. Yes.
Yes. I'm Joe Wattenberger. My husband is Ernest Wattenberger.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just put out here for people that's not aware, the VA in Birmingham has a blind rehab program over there, and it's an excellent program. My husband has been in it, and it does help. If anybody has anybody that might need that type of service, just contact the VA in Birmingham, and they'll give you all the information.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yes, we do have a wonderful blind rehab, and I probably should add that into my slides as well for anyone that is a veteran, even if they're not enrolled and they're having visual impairment, contact us and we can see if we can help them enroll or get them some of the services and equipment for anybody who's blind or having visual impairment, not just for someone who's blind. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
All right, does anybody else have any questions? All right, so with that, then I want to say, to Teresa, thank you. I want to say thank you to you guys for attending. I hope you found it beneficial. I am going to send an email, like a follow-up. So it's going to have the slides that we went through today. It's going to have a link for the post test, and then it's going to have a training stipend form attached. So that the training stipend form and the post test need to be completed by Friday for you to get that $100 stipend. So if you have any questions about that when I send it out, just reply back to me, and I'll try to help you any way that I can.
Thank you so much. This is I didn't know about this program prior to being invited or RSVPing, but it's valuable information, and I do truly appreciate.
Yes,
you're welcome. I'm glad that you joined us.
Yes, I was late, and normally I'm not late. Please forgive me. I was out yesterday, and the Birmingham Library downtown is closed to the public. So we have several libraries here in Birmingham that are closed. People that are that have been we have several libraries that are closed, and so actually yesterday I was out and about, and I was supposed to do everything yesterday, so I didn't, and I forgot. And the first day of school started yesterday, so it was hectic. But all in all, I made it. I do apologize. Please forgive me for my lateness, but yes, I did make it.
You did make it. That's what matters.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Y'all look for that email. It'll probably be within the next 20 or so minutes that you'll receive that. So again, I appreciate it, and hopefully you'll join the next one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brittany.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a blessed day.
Dude,
y'all too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.